Alright, so we are back, and now I want to implement the height blend. So now what you can see, this is just like a flat blend between, like, you have a value of between 0 and 1, and then you have a value of 0 and 1, and then when it's mixed together, the color and everything else, the normals and all that stuff is just evenly mixed together like a gradient. But we want to also get the height information, so this means that we can blend, so maybe that only those branches are on top and everything which is maybe below will not be visible. And so we can blend the height between the wild grass and maybe the forest floor and stuff like that. So the height blend is really also a game changer, because you can see everything is just looking flat. So, but it's fine. Of course, everything is looking flat and boring. We are still in our development stage. We need to do some more stuff. So let's get the height blend also, so we can apply that as well. For that, we need to open up our material function textures. We have the albedo, we have the normal, and we have the roughness, displacement, and ambient occlusion here, which is our packed channel, right? So what we need to do, we need to reroute this stuff. So let me just cue that again, because I'm always going mental. So just drag out from here and add a named reroute declaration. I was just searching for that. And we call this one RDO texture. So this is, like I said several times before, this is now the same stuff we have here. This is just a cache. So then we can just connect that and press Q again, because I said I'm mental regarding straightness and all that stuff. And now let's get empty space, maybe here, and we can get now our named reroutes here. So now we do have the RDO texture available for us. And we want to, you might have guessed it if you think logically. Our roughness, displacement, and ambient occlusion is R and G and B, RGB channels. So you think like, okay, displacement has to do something with height. So it's basically a height map. So it shares the information between 0 and 1. So this means 0 would be like a pitch black value. When you look at the displacement or the height texture, it's basically the same stuff. When someone is telling you like, yeah, height is something completely different. No, it is not. Height texture is a displacement texture. It's basically the same damn thing. So the difference here in our height or displacement texture is we have this packed in the green channel. So roughness, red channel, displacement, green channel, ambient occlusion, blue channel. So it makes sense to use a mask. So we just want to get the height information, so this is the displacement. So we drag out from here and we get a so-called component mask. And you see here that we can only select the green channel, which is our displacement. So we use this information, only that channel, and then we can create a so-called function output this time, because we want to put this into our output result, okay? And then we can call that height, because now this height output we can use, and now this is getting fed, or it's feeding, it's getting fed from that stuff here. Is it right? The past form of feed it's getting fed? I don't know. I hope you understand what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, so then apply and save for now. Okay, dann lag ich doch richtig. Ha, I was right. And now, if you just follow along correctly, you can get this stuff here. And let's open up the material function layers. And when we just see here, let's check this stuff, like our texture logic. Oh, sorry for that. This was quite stupid. I wanted to press Q and not C. Now you can see you have the height channel. You should have the height channel. So the priority here, let's just fix that. Sorry for that. So instead of setting this to 1, we should have this albedo roughness priority 4 should be enough. Okay, so now we have this sorted. And then we can just paste the output, and connect the height output into the input of the height output. So this makes sense, I hope. Apply and save. So we are almost done, but we are not quite there yet. Some people might have already guessed that, because next to our material function layers, what did we create after that? Some might remember. When we go into layers, we have our layers, that material function for every single material separately. So this means when we go to layer 0, 1, we can see we have the height as well. So in order to have this complete, we also need to connect the height here. Let me also just straighten this. Apply and save. And then we can close the first layer. And we get our material function layers 0, 2. And we also paste the output here. Set, drag, select, and Q that out. And we go back to the material function layers 0, 3. And we also put this one here. And last but not least, we also do that for the rocks. Or I should say the rock material. So let's get this. And this looks horrible, I understand. But let's just do something like this. And then we can align that to left. Boom. And then we can also align that. Align right. And cue that. Boom. And then you should be good to go. Make sure that you save everything here. Okay, but one last thing we need to do. Just remember, we also have a material function called landscape layers. So inside the landscape layers, this one, we have all those 4 layers. We just put all those 4 material functions, like all those 4 layers, we put this just into one big material function. So it's pretty simple to understand. I know it's a lot of material functions, but just consider this like a folder, and you have like many different small folders, and you put all those folders, those material functions, into one bigger folder. And it's not that complicated. We just organize things into like a bigger material function. So we do know that we have 4 different materials here, so 3 different materials, and our automatic slope material, which is rock. So depending on our angle, we will set up later. But when we just open that one up, we can see that we have all those 4 material functions. Those 4. We just put this one inside here, as you can remember. But now, when we click on the first layer, we have something called, you remember weight blend. So when we click on this landscape layer blend, you can see the blend type. So we set this one up to weight blend. But now let's just change that to a height blend. And we also change this one to a height blend. All right. And we do the same for each layer. So make sure all those 3 are height. And also here, not only for the first layer, but also for the second layer, which would be like our soil or mud or something. And then we have the third layer, which would be in this case maybe our forest floor or something similar. And now you can, because we prepared this, we can set up the height into the height, and this one and this one. So now we are feeding this information. And we can just hook this one up like so. Now we do have height information in our landscape layer blend. Once we paint, we can now blend with the height blend, which is now our blend type. And he's getting the information from our texture, which would be the displacement of each texture. And if we just apply and save, we can now basically go to our landscape material and paint. And then, let's just see if this is going to work. So now let's just close that and also maybe the textures. We don't need that for now. And hopefully, let's click on the second layer. This is the soil, right? Let me just see. Yeah, I think this material should be our second layer here. And let's change the brush fall off to something like 0. So this is like not, now we have like a sharp brush without any like soft fall off. And let's just change this maybe to the brush size. I cannot talk today. The brush size to maybe something like 100. And then, if you just paint, you can see now the grass on top, and beneath we have the soil. So one more thing, we have our default displacement texture here, right? This is also something I forgot. I did change this for the imported materials, but you can remember also when I told you previously for the normal map, we forgot to change that. So yes, and for the default, of course, also we need to use the displacement default. And the compression settings is grayscale here. And we save that because this is all grayscale information we have inside our RGB. Ambient occlusion, displacement, roughness, it's all black and white. So we should definitely use the grayscale. Also, pretty important, make sure that you open up the roughness map, because when we see our MF layers, we use the RDO. But for the RDO, we have our default map. We are using the roughness texture. This is the default. So we need to open up the roughness. So consider this as your default RDO. And when you open that one up, you need to make sure that this one is the sRGB is disabled. And now he's teleporting us back, so we can get this one. And this needs to be sampler type, linear color.